All right. Hey, everybody. It's Lewis Porter Jr. Just doing the last little tweaks before we get started on today's transparency agenda. First and foremost, of course, I would like to say thank you. Ooh, I don't have any water today. I'm about to run get some. I just say thank you to everybody who came out and gave me a nice happy birthday. I really got a great birthday. I found a couple things I like I got this for my birthday. I'm going to be reading some of this. Top here too. So I'm hoping to be reading this very soon, getting some good questions, and maybe talk about this in the very near future. As always, I've got projects after projects I'm doing. Actually, we have sent off, for all those who are new Exodus fans, we sent off our fourth chapter to get reviewed by the editor. I have to check on him to see where that is. I know he has it now. He's going through it. It's going to be one of those technically long things. So just gonna have to wait. But I'm assuming it's going to be awesome because this is an awesome book, and we've done a great job making this an awesome book and really going out of our way to do some really amazing things in this. It's just a great looking book. It's going to be very exciting. I think a lot of people are going to be very happy at the end of this, and I'm very happy. We put in a lot of hard work on this, so I think in the end it should be an awesome product. So it will be very popular. It will be very popular. I think people will be very pleased. So there you go. Also with that, keep changing screens here since I'm checking for stuff. On top of that, we've still been working on, I keep calling it Indigo Donkey. We keep working on Infinite Dungeon. The guys are working very hard on that one. I'm doing the map. I did the map for the 4th level. I initially thought it was going to be the 3rd level, but I changed my mind because I've changed what I want to do on the 4th level of this dungeon crawl. I think it'll be a really awesome change. Hey, Scott, what's going on? I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I am very happy. Ooh, good news. Cool. I'm going to get the next chapter back. I just got from the editor. Apparently back maybe tomorrow. So sweet. Let's just move along. Hey, Michael, what's going on? So this is going to be one of those interesting weeks of work. Plus, of course, with a topic like this, Scott, it's not a hot button topic. See, people get excited when they see it's not a hot button. I'm going to just tell some truths, and some people are probably going to get upset. But that hasn't changed anything in my life. So that's just me. I like a little controversy. I like a little controversy. Who doesn't like controversy? If it's truthful controversy and it's honest, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's what we should be. We are in this industry to do awesome stuff. So I think we should be doing awesome stuff, which includes talking about topics that are, slightly controversial. Hello, Miss Cooper. How are you doing? So it's a lot of different stuff we're going to talk about today. But I thought the title alone. Hey, Lucas, what's going on? I thought the title alone would get people interested and say, hey, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Because we are in a field of creative people and we talk about a lot of stuff. So let's talk about something that we know is controversial. We know is difficult. We know that a lot of people get uncomfortable, blah, blah. So let's talk about it. All right. And if you saw the title, if you haven't seen the title for this and you're coming late, I'm sorry. I'm going to be shocking some of you. If you're thinking this was going to be just a little, yes, Miss Cooper, I am a lot of controversy. That's how I live. So the title of this one is called Prejudice, Racism, and the Lack of Diversity in RPGs. So this has been a long thing of me thinking this for a long time. This isn't the original thing what I planned today. I was going to talk about retailing and distributing, and then this just came up. I'm sitting at dinner, I'm eating chicken. Yes, it's almost stereotypical. I'm eating chicken, and I'm like, we should talk about something different today. And this is what came to me. So here we are. All right, so let's also define a couple things so we can get this, we can all get on the same page. Because people are like, oh, I'm not this, I'm not that. Look, prejudice is prejudging, prejudging something. Racism is just, I don't like it because of your race. And diversity, okay, the lack of there, very simple. If you're in a meeting and you look around the table in the meeting for your business or whatever, your store, publishing, whatever, and you look around the room, and everybody looks just like you, that's not diverse. The flip side if you look around the room and everyone looks nothing like you, and not like it's all different, it's like everybody looks, there's you and then everybody else looks very much the same, that's also not diversity. Let's talk about, real diversity. And I'm going to be talking about this perspective of people of color. I might talk about sexual orientation, but like I said, I don't think I'm appropriate for me to speak on that because that is not my forte. But I will do my best. I'm sure we're going to see some things that are horribly wrong or incorrect. So it's not out of just of anger. It's out of ignorance. So just take it as that. So let's talk about prejudice. Let's start with that one. Do I think there is actual prejudice in RPGs as a whole? In the perspective of companies and people doing the stuff, no. I tell people, I've been gaming now for 20 plus years. I don't think I've ever felt a time where I was discriminated against, I felt bad for stuff. I've never had that happen. That's never happened to me in the gaming ever. And I think it's a great thing. Because, I mean, look, gamers are very inclusive. I think gamers are inclusive by nature. I think we like something that's kind of unique, and we want to show people how cool it is. So we're very inclusive. That being said, we also, in the majority, don't also go out of our circles of people to talk to invite to play and stuff like that. And it isn't because people are prejudiced. It's just some people are different. Some people, sometimes they don't know. Some people are just not that open. Some people are very much like, this is my group and this is what I play with and that's all I'm going to play with. There's all kinds of stuff. But I think the more people you expose to what we do, the cooler it becomes, the more people become interested. I mean, let's just look at comic books. Comic movies have become popular very quickly, and in turn, comic books have had a boost in sales. Wow. Old-time guys like me, but like forever, it's been good and bad. But more people learning more about comics, to me, is a good thing. The same thing can be said about tabletop role playing. It should be the same thing. Now, moving on to the racism part of this. Okay, I'm a big believer in how things can become racist and prejudiced without even trying hard by just simple definitions of things. If you look at most fantasy books, and this is kind of deep, so let's go with it. The perception of things that are black have a negative connotation. Hey, Alan, what's going on? Black magic is bad. Necromancy. Black elves are bad. Evil. There's this natural connotation that black is not a positive thing. If you look in a dictionary, if you look in a dictionary for the word black and see the connotations, they're not very positive. They're not the most positive things you can see. And it just isn't. It's hey, Alex, what's going on? It's not a lot of positiveness going on there. That's just the way it is. I think that is just the interpretation from perspective. Since I consider myself to be black, even though I'm quite brown, I would say chocolate to be exact. I think people just naturally kind of use the word without thinking. Black magic is bad. This is bad. Black, wearing, the bad guy wears black. One of my favorite ones, I think this is so weird, but it's kind of interesting. If you look at Star Wars, all the bad guys are wearing black or gray costumes. All the good guys are wearing light colored costumes, except for the stormtroopers and Han Solo. Those are the only characters wearing black and white together. That's kind of an interesting thing. I never really understood that, but that's kind of a cool if you ever check it out. Now I got to put Star Wars on here. I wasn't planning to do that. But, Star Wars. Color is important. Color plays a role of things. And I think that we as creative people need to pay attention to that. I've said many times, and I'm going to keep saying until I see one, the thing I'll never see, I have not seen yet in gaming, is a black, aka person of color, African American, let's say in this perspective, like me, who looks like me. I don't mean a light-skinned brother. I mean like Doc, and I'm talking. He'd say it like this, but you all get it. Wesley Snipes kind of black, black guy wearing plate armor on top of a unicorn or a Pegasus as a paladin. I have not seen that. That is not something that's seen a lot, and it isn't a good thing, but it's not a bad thing. But it's not a good thing. Because we talk about diversity and everybody wants to be diverse, but that's not really diversity. Diversity is doing things that people would normally not see, and it's not a big issue. I always go back to, in the 50s, interracial marriage was a horrible, horrible thing. Nowadays, it's like interracial marriage, that's nothing. Now, gay marriage is the big thing, but even then, that's not like a big thing. Like people get married, okay, what's the matter? I think the time changes and things move along, and we all just adapt to them naturally. But the nature of role playing is kind of a playing, fantasy that's based off of, and let's be honest, European myths, and there's very perspectives that play from that. I can't count how many books I have that I can pull off the covers that have, European looking people on the cover, and people who look like me are very far and few between. And that's not a bad thing to say. It's not like a lot of people even think that way. But here's the thing. I don't think people go out of the way saying, I'm keeping black people off this book. Forget them black people. I don't care. Them darkies are not getting on. I don't believe that's what's going on. I believe it's just a mental oversight because of you're not thinking that way. It's like, oh no, I want to put a cool character on. Here's my cool character. And ta-da, there's your character. So, and it can be an oversight by just ignorance. It's not even like, oh, I don't like black people, or oh, I don't. It's like just, oh, I never thought about it. It wasn't, I never thought about it. It wasn't a big thing to me, which is kind of a cool concept to think of. It's not a big thing to me to think, hey, I wasn't trying to make anything racist. So that in itself tells you a lot about the people involved, just their mindset, and how they're thinking positively about that. And I'm very appreciative of that. It's just, hey, it's an oversight. People have it all the time. But I also think that diversity is necessary in just good telling of stories. That's just a basic view of that. With that said, all right, let me tell you some stuff I have noticed. And there's a couple of times in particular. Okay, I'll tell you some positives, and then I'll go talk about some negatives. So positives. The new 7th Sea book by John Wick. John Wick's Kickstarter, they did it, they got it developed, it all came out. There's a lot of reviews on it, and one of the reviews talked about the artwork. And in the book, there's all kinds of people of color, from every end of the spectrum. Basically white guys, just dark, and it's all various, it's all mixed up, it's all jumbled, it's all sexualities, it's all stuff like that. It's just cool. If it's cool, it's cool. That's all I care. If it's cool, it's cool. And John Wick really did a great job making it all cool, and that's important. Scott Fernandez put, it would be awesome if the new D&D movie lead was a person of color. Yeah, I'd find it to be awesome. If it was a female person of color, I'd find that awesome. I think, and I don't mean just African American. I mean somebody Asian, somebody Latino, somebody just, I don't need to see the blonde hero again. I get it. I know there's blonde heroes. I get it. Doesn't mean there can't be cool people. All right. See, now you're going to divert, and I was trying to say a good point. But Kickstarter, let me do the 7th Sea one. 7th Sea, there's a lot of good diversity in people of color and people of even gender roles, which I thought was good. A lot of homosexual relationships, and it's just it's just smart. It's just like, look, in our world, everybody's included, and I thought that was very smart. And I really, as a fan of cool stuff, that's cool, that's awesome, that's how it should be. It shouldn't matter, and it shouldn't matter. And that's important. So that was a positive thing. Paradigm Concepts. They had there was a region in the area. I cannot remember off the top of my head. If Henry, you're watching, this is your big pitch. I'm talking about your company. There's a group that's actually basically, I'd say, dark skin, people like me, people of color, in the setting. While it was I wouldn't say jungle-esque setting, but definitely, African American, African feeling, that kind of setting. These people are the only people that actually had guns and gunpowder in the setting, and I thought that was kind of different. I've never really seen that in in classic fantasy, giving people of color firearms, even though the Chinese and the world developed gunpowder and black powder, using it as fireworks and then using it as weapons. I thought that was a great spin on it, but it's something you wouldn't expect. So I thought that was kind of cool. And, I think Paradigm Concepts did a great job at that. Paizo has made it incredibly inclusive. They've added several characters that I'm like, okay, look, people of color, people that look like me, they resemble me. That's kind of cool. I just wish it also be spread out among other ethnicities also. I think that's important. I think that is incredibly important because I think people play games more when they can see themselves in the games. uh, I play Pathfinder because I like Pathfinder. But that being said, I think if Pathfinder didn't have anybody of color look something like me, I might have a problem. Um, I think you have to have people that look like the people you want around the table. When we did Neo Exodus this time around, I made an incredibly conscious decision to go out of my way and be incredibly inclusive in the races of people we're dividing for the game. And all of our iconics, if it wasn't something specifically made for a specific race, we went with a very specific type of ethnicity. The one off the top of my head, as I'm looking at right now, are Barbarian Tane. I based them off of the Maori of New Zealand, and I've always liked their tattoos. They're just badass tattoos, Samoans. I think there's some cool ass designs. I said, wow, that's cool. And for them, I said, I think they make a cool half giant. This is how I was going to redefine how half giants look in my setting, because typically most of the perspectives and even iconics are from a very European, Eurocentric thing. And I was like, that's kind of silly. There's tons of cultures around the planet that could be incorporated to add some cool things. So for half giants, I went for that kind of look, and I went for that kind of design. So I did a lot of research on what would be a cool tattoo, what would the look have to be, what would be the cool piece for them, and that just tied into what we were doing. And just getting a lot of art for it and giving a lot of art to my artists to work from. That was helpful. A Cavalier we did. Long Shadow is Native American. That is, I can always say it's very Native American. Which tribe? I don't know. Several different tribes. Different things I thought would incorporate well. That somebody who is a Native American, obviously a Native American, so I'm talking that perspective, came and saw Long Shadow and said, this character looks like me. This character looks like someone in my family. This character looks like, and that's the kind of presentation I wanted to put on. I wanted people to just go, hey, I can see somebody I know in that face. We did an anti-paladin that we basically build, I guess, we built up being Scottish and a pick. And I know some friends who are very Scottish, and they were like, hey, you should do this and this kind of design. So I did some research on it, and I got some artwork for my artist to do it, and it came out perfectly, and it's like, is it European? Yes, it's very European. But we also made it very iconic to the period we're talking about and things like that. So still, not being racist, being inclusive. Let's include it in. Our alchemist, Riley Morgan. I made our alchemist very, and I don't think it's the right term. People have been telling me it's not the right term, but I'm just telling you what I'm just telling you. Hey, John, I'd say very androgynous, male, female. And the name I use, Riley Morgan, could be female, could be male, could be both. I kept it very androgynous, and I thought that was kind of important, because it's like some people will identify about that character. That character looks like someone I know, or the character looks like me, and I feel that way. That's why I did this. I think inclusivity is important for all of us here. It only makes us better in the creativity part, what we do. And I think we do a lot of creative things. So let's be inclusive. Let's find ways to be inclusive and add people. It's not, not a big thing to do. It takes 2 seconds of, thinking. I think back to what Chuck Dixon told me a long time ago when he said he's designing characters. He takes a character. He doesn't add a race or a sex to the character. It's just a blob. And he makes the character and gives it like a generic name. And then by the time he's done, he adds the sex and the race. And sometimes it's like, hey, it's a female in love with another female, or he just, that stuff is important. It's important, but it's not really important. It's just, you can put it on later. If this character's cool, you add the sex to it, it can make it cooler. Just because of, oh, I thought this was a male. No, it's really a female. Oh, that sounds a very interesting kind of story. There's that kind of thing. Oh, I thought this character was white. Oh no, it's actually black, or is Asian, or Hispanic. Or those kind of elements can change the story in ways you haven't predicted. And I think that's what makes a good creative person do. I think we need to focus on that more as the people involved in this. So, like I said, I think that part's important. And, I don't think it's racism, for example. It's just more access. I mean, look, I play role-playing because someone exposed me to role-playing. I'm a pretty geeky guy. I like comic books. I like science fiction. I check all the buttons as if you're going to be someone who'd be role-playing. That being said, I'm also, African-American. I'm my mother and father have been married over 50 years. My grandparents were married for over 50 years. I was married, until I became a widow. marriage to me has a very, like I said, if you didn't know, like I said, even my name, I'm not going to lie, even my name, Louis Porter, actually my full name, if you want my whole full name, Louis Manuel Porter Jr. If you didn't know my face and just, there's some things you'd naturally assume just on my name, just on my name. Because that's how I perceive people, by their name. For example, okay, a friend of mine happens to be in here, Erica Cooper. Erica Cooper. If I told you, don't look at a picture, just say, Erica Cooper, what do you think she looks like? Boom. You'd have your perception of what you think just by the name. But if I told you, I have another friend of mine in here, I don't think she's here yet, but I know she watches a lot, Yashika Florence. Like Yashika gives you a different idea. Naming, these things are all play into the cool character and stuff like that, and that's important. Now, also, with this being said, I'm going to talk about diversity, and this is the real issue. And this isn't like diversity in just what you see in the books and stuff like that. I mean, actually, at the production of the products, the board of directors, the bosses, the people running it, the CEOs, that kind of people. There needs to be more diversity, actually, in those level positions. I mean, look, off the top of my head, I can think of only 2 other African Americans, persons of color that I specifically know. When I say I'm going to say African Americans that I know that have their own publishing company. I know, Paradigm Concepts. When Paradigm Concepts started, it was 3 Cubans and 1 Jewish folk. What? It's Jewish folk or Jew? Jew? I say Jew. Jewish folk. Jew. It's Eric, so I'm going to call him Jew. That's it. 4 people, minority in every sense of the word. But did it matter? Did it affect how people saw them? I know, since I know them personally, I know they went out of their way to do certain artwork that they knew would appeal ethically in different ways. I thought that was very smart. I still believe that's very smart. I wish more publishers would do that. Not everybody thinks about that. It's a non-issue to a lot of people. Oh, it's no big deal. Nah, it doesn't matter. But it kind of does. Because we always talk about we want to expand people and get more people playing games. Well, you've got to expand it also in that. And the people you work with, you've got to be. Rich. Hey, Rich, what's going on? Rich is a prime example. Rich does cartography for us. Rich is Haitian. Rich's experiences in gaming are probably very similar to mine, but also very different. I think these are things that people can find to be inclusive. Rich is now working with Alligator Alley Entertainment, and it's a pretty diverse company. It's probably I can say out of the 3 people running it, 66% would say it would be minorities. It is 100% male, but still, those are pretty high numbers. I mean, diversity to a company is a good thing, and it just gets you. It tells different kind of stories that people don't always go for. Because look, I've heard a lot of European, mythology since I started playing D&D way back in, good Lord, 81. And it's kind of always been that kind of set. And when you went to somewhere like Asia or, these fantasy versions of, they're kind of the same stereotypical, which people would thought. Oh, close that. And that's kind of what was just done because it was just the way they did things. That being said, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't, Great example. We have a character in New York. It's a paladin. I based it off of the Sasuke. Scott, I'm mispronouncing it. SAKUSE. Yes, in Japan, there is I think I misspelled it. I got to find it again. There is a historical story where there was a supposedly Nigerian, that goes to Japan and becomes a samurai. And it's one of those things like, that just sounds crazy. And it does sound crazy. It sounds crazy. Nigerian in the 17th century going to Japan and becomes a samurai. What the hell? Now there's some diversity. That's some awesome diversity. That's got cool written over it. So I kind of did the same thing with the character we did. I didn't realize I was really making over another character totally by accident, not even thinking about it, which was kind of funny. But I thought
it was just, you know, even historical points of view are kind of cool like that. You'll see little moments like that. If you've ever watched, if any of you are watching, great show on Netflix. Now I got to add to the list. I didn't even realize I was going to talk about it. Marco Polo. Marco Polo is a great show on Netflix. They have had how many seasons? Yes, Lucas, it does. Yes, it does have a lot of Afro samurai influence. I assume they got influenced by it. Either way, it's like phenomenal. Back to what I was saying, Marco Polo on Netflix is a great series to check out. Just how cool you can see another perspective of fantasy, and they do a great job with it. And there's some awesome ideas in there that you can steal for your game. Like if you're going to be traveling, you know, if you're going to be traveling to, you know, to this infamous Silk Road to a place like China, you can do some really cool stuff and use some of the stuff they've in here that was awesome. Even down to just what type of armor they're wearing, the look of it, the feel, the weapons they use. It's a great show to get inspired by something if you want to do an Asian-esque kind of setting. And it's kind of cool because it's like they're talking about part of India, part of Mongolia, part of China, and you know the interplay between, you know, Genghis and his own is it Genghis or Kublai? Is it Kublai? It's Kublai. And his family members. And he has one son that's from a Chinese wife. He has one son from a Indian wife. He has one son from a is it Tibetan? I believe it's Tibetan. I don't really know. I have to check now. I think it's Tibetan. Well, whatever. The Tibetan son, and he talked about their relationship and how his son is like, oh, you know, one son looks more Chinese, and it's like even they talk about that kind of, you know, how the Mongols are going to feel about that. It's a lot. It's just really kind of fascinating. It has a lot of great moments of talking about race among a race of people that generally you'd consider would be, you know, one race, but really not. You know, the ethnicities make it slightly different. So that's a cool factor. I think there's so much just good stuff in that. I think if you haven't watched it, you should go check it out. It's got 2 seasons. They're awesome seasons. You'll enjoy them. The action is cool. What I said, one of my favorite characters, 100 Eyes, is a great character on there. And even his little short movie he did was awesome. Just, oh my God, just so good. And just like that, just a well done show that I can thoroughly enjoy over and over. And the diversity on this show really gives you a perspective of, you know, fish out of water. And Marco Polo plays that role for us, the viewer. And it's interesting, you know, and that's why I think it's so weird. And this is going to be a little, you know, moment. There is Chinese, his race region, Indian, yes, or Persian, adopted. I keep thinking, Scott just wrote this. It's about Marco Polo. I keep thinking his so-called adopted son is not really that adopted. I think something went on there. But I don't want to ruin the show for people who have not watched it. I think you have to watch it. It is awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's an awesome show. You will not be disappointed. There are some people that I really love seeing on there. Joan Chen is on there, who's one of an actress that I remember when she was the wild independent girl, and this is just a perfect show for her. So yeah, check it out if you got a chance. I can't recommend it enough. So, you know, like I said, this goes back to, I think there needs to be more diversity on levels of businesses. I think we need to reach out to people we haven't. One of the things I've always said that I wanted to do with, you know, LPJ Design when I get to a point where we really start making, I'd say, good money to help us going and help us get solid, is I would like to do, you know, kind of like a Riff reading is fundamental. I remember some of you older folks like my age will remember, you know, Riff was a big thing, and kind of do the same thing for gaming. You know, gaming is fundamental, and that kind of feel to it, and and just do a lot of outreach, and maybe not just role playing tabletop, but just games. We play games. We play all kinds of games: card games, board games, RPGs, tabletops, video games. Games are good for all of us. So just focus on that kind of mentality and being more inclusive. How to get more people playing games and having fun, and the more people that have fun, boom, the more games you'll sell, the more different types of games you'll develop. Not just tabletop. I do this for tabletop, but it's really not all about tabletop. So that's really it. So, wow, it's 9:30 already. See, you got these topics, you know, you go you get excited, you start talking about stuff, and it is what it is. A lot of interesting stuff about it. So I can take that off of our topic. I was going to talk about that, but I just don't have time for it tonight. So, like I said, now's a great time if you ever wanted to do, if you ever wanted just to try something different. And a lot of you watching this are writers. Take something that you typically would think would be X, Y, Z, and flip it. Flip it in a way that most people won't see coming. Flip it in a way that most people would find interesting. Do something different. Whether it's color of skin or sexual orientation or sexuality, flip it. Do something different. Be creative. Make a character that people haven't seen before. And if you're telling a good story, it's a good story. People will get the story, and that's what's important. And people will find that interesting, and people will like that even more. It's there is lots of great stories to be told by people who may not look like you. And you can tell their story if you're honest about what you're trying to tell and what you want to write about. Because you know what? Everybody knows what it feels like to be, beaten up by a bully or antagonized by a bully. Everybody's been weak at some point. Everybody's been in love at some point. Everybody's been hurt at some point. And those are just universal themes that you just put in different kind of wrapping to make it, whatever you want to tell. But those are things that everybody can tell. And you can do the same thing with art, with our games, and how we present ourselves. When you think about doing a character, oh, I thought this character was going to be Dick. Flip it. Flip it. Totally change it. Oh, I thought this character was going to be a white male, blonde hair, and a horse. Make him, and we'll make him a her. Make him with very long, dark hair, or even crazy. Make it a her with red hair, but Asian, or Island Pacific, or something like that. So there's that odd little thing. There's lots of ways you can do this. It's just, you as being creative people, you gotta just make it awesome. Ellen says, sounds awesome. Heck, if I can't my girlfriend watching comics, we can watch. Yeah, because getting friends and family to read comic books and playing games is a great way to start. I got my wife, God rest her soul, when she was living, to watch Spartacus. Now I gotta add Spartacus to this. Spartacus is one of those shows that it was what I thought it was going to be. It was, and then it wasn't at the same time. And I think that show is, like I said, that's one of my favorite shows that came out. And yeah, the sex and violence was ramped up to about 1 million, and the buckets of blood were ridiculous. But it was what it was supposed to be. An awesome show with an awesome idea. And, it did what a good show should do. It got me excited. And my wife, who normally would not watch a show like that at all, watched it, loved it, thought it was amazing, wanted to see more of it. And it's like, hey, it ran its course. It did what it was supposed to do. And, we got a great opportunity to watch something together that I didn't think she'd ever be interested in. But, what do I know? I don't know anything. I knew that I liked it, and I was like, oh, she probably won't like it. And I was wrong. She saw a great series that she loved, and the thing that she loved the most was, yeah, the fighting was awesome, and she always was amazed that so many guys were getting naked in front, but she thought the language was kind of cool, how they spoke. It wasn't even Shakespearean or something else, and I think that was just, something that she thought was cool. So let's be as diverse as possible. Let's do something awesome. Let's not be lazy. Let's do awesome stuff. That's what we're good at. All right, I'm going to go get some water because I'm thirsty, and I'm probably going to go to bed. After I go through my 40 emails, gaming publishing, that's what it's all about. So I'm going to go through these emails, and I'm going to go to bed. And tomorrow we're going to talk about something, and it will be publisher related. I don't know who we're going to talk about. I may talk about some people I like or some people I don't like. Or maybe I'll talk about retailers. But Scary Race has some really great stuff going on. I don't want to talk about it now because I'll get started doing some of this stuff. See, Troy, if you came at the right time, you'd see the video. Troy, we start at 9 o'clock, Monday through Thursday. I send out stuff. 9 o'clock. Got to be on time. But then you can watch the video. It'll still be cool. There's lots of cool things I talked about. All right, everybody. I'm getting out of here. You all have a good night, and I'll talk to you later.